Happening today, the trial for the Atlanta-based rapper Cashout is expected to begin. His real name is John Gibson. He was indicted in 2023 on several charges, including rape, sex trafficking, and luring women into prostitution. 4 others also charged in this case. They're accused of forming Pires Music Group LLC, but then using the company to recruit and entice women to engage in commercial sex activity.
So that was the beginning. Then it seemed like we were about to start getting updates, and this is going to be another trial that we'd have covered, but it turns out, not so much. Let's kind of give y'all a little detail into what's going on, and then I'll break it down for you.
Cashout's ex-girlfriend just took the stand, testifying in his sex trafficking trial. The rapper and 2 others are on trial, accused of luring women into prostitution. Atlanta News First, Yasmin Alston is live from the Fulton County Courthouse tonight. And Yasmin, this witness is also listed in the indictment.
Yeah, that's right. The woman calls herself the ex-girlfriend of rapper Cashout, but she was also arrested on prostitution-related charges in this indictment. A woman took the stand in the sex trafficking trial of Atlanta rapper Cashout. She says she was in a relationship with the rapper, whose real name is John Michael Gibson, and is listed in an indictment along with Gibson and several others facing prostitution-related charges. On Monday, she testified Gibson secluded her from loved ones while living at a Midtown condo together. The woman testified the rapper had her drive around women who were allegedly doing sex work for him, as well as collect money from those women.
I had to go to a hotel, which was the same female I picked up before. I had to go to the hotel and get the money, and there was nothing. She just opened the door and passed me the money, and then I had to take it to him. He just said she had something for me, so I went and got it and took it to him.
The woman also claimed Gibson used her photos and social media to recruit women plus clients for sex work.
I was aware that my pictures were being used, and that was told to me by someone else that my pictures were being used. So I searched it myself, and I seen my pictures were being used.
The woman told the jury she initially didn't know about Gibson's alleged dealings in prostitution. Now, the rapper's attorney denies the allegations and even argued the woman hopes prosecutors will grant her immunity for her testimony. Live at the Fulton County Courthouse, Yasmin Alston, Atlanta News First.
Well, you get that update. That's the update we get. So you get the beginning, then you see his girlfriend testify, then the cop comes and testify, and lordy, lord. Let's go.
We're learning more about an alleged sex trafficking enterprise involving Atlanta rapper Cashout. Bank statements were revealed today in court. And Channel 2 investigative reporter Ashley Lincoln is live in the newsroom. Ashley, you found out more about those actual transactions.
Yeah, Linda, bank statements revealed a number of transactions on the adult site Backpage. The investigator testified he found it unusual to see multiple large deposits of money back to back at a single bank.
What were those deposit amounts?
500, 900, 600.
Prosecutors laid out a money trail for jurors.
3 check card purchases at Backpage.com.
Alleging Atlanta rapper Cashout, whose given name is John Gibson, and his mother, Linda Smith, had an enterprise profiting from prostitution.
For this Cash App account, what's the display name?
Linda Smith, Mama Cash.
An investigator shared his findings from bank statements connected to at least 4 different bank accounts spanning from 2013 to 2022. Gibson, his mother, and cousin, Tyrone Taylor, are accused of forcing women into sex trafficking. Over the 5 weeks of this trial, jurors heard harrowing accounts from alleged victims. Bank statements show rent payments were made to locations where some of the alleged trafficking took place. The defense argued against presenting those documents and maintains Gibson didn't force women into sex trafficking.
My concern, obviously, and my objection on the record would be that these are hearsay, that they're simply allegations, they're pleadings, and they're not final judgments. So for those reasons, Your Honor, I would object to these documents.
Okay.
It's relevant as to showing the outflow of money from Kiara Adams' bank account and used to benefit Linda Smith here, who's the at least registered lessee of this location.
And advocates are speaking out about these types of trafficking cases. A federal jury just awarded a victim a multi-million-dollar judgment. I'll share those details tonight on Channel 2 Action News at 6. Reporting in the newsroom, Ashley Lincoln, Channel 2 Action News.
Then what ends up happening, days and days starts going. Some days are off, some days are on. That's just how court goes in the freaking summer. It is what it is. But more to the point, the reason why we didn't get to see this live stream like majority of these places is because of Adrian Love. I'm joking. No, I'm just kidding. No, because it was graphic. They were talking about stuff that they were doing to some of the girls' butts, a lot of beating and all these things and everything. And it was real graphic. So respectfully, out of the, I don't know, out of the couch of the people's stomachs, but we got all type of freaking documentaries on YouTube. So to me, it should have been fair game. Now, possibly put on a delay for about an hour, sure. Blur out a couple of words, sure. But I guess when we talk about murder, it ain't the same as somebody getting assaulted. So there's that. That rolls on, and then we find out later on, a couple days ago, 3 days ago, that closing statements are happening and all that and everything. And then Byron and Miss Sylvia, they were the only ones in the court. I don't know if Byron was actually in there, but it seems like he was. But Miss Sylvia for sure was in there. So I'm going to show you about 10 minutes. I'll try to speed it up a little bit, but about 8 to 9 minutes worth of closing statements from Carlton Matthews. If you want the whole entire thing, just type up Miss Sylvia or Infamous Sylvia, and she will give you the whole entire thing. Tell her that Study Nash Central. Drop a pair of eyes on there. So, beam me up, Scotty.
2, 22, 23, 24, and 30 so far, Jasmine Brown. Now, Jasmine Brown, ladies and gentlemen, she told you that she was from Wilmington, Delaware. She told you that she aged out of foster care and went into an independent living at 18, right? She told you that she moved to Georgia to attend Georgia State University in the fall of 2017. That's what she told you. Get her on the witness stand on cross-examination. Standing here, ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking her some questions. So let's talk about Georgia State University. Let's talk about you came down here to attend Georgia State University. So I asked her questions about Georgia State University. I said, hey, Miss Brown, how many classes did you take? I took 3. Okay. What were those classes? Did you get an answer? She told prosecutors that she wanted to study forensics. That's what she said on direct examination, right? I get her up on cross-examination, ask her some of these follow-up questions. I was taking 3 classes. Well, how many credit hours did you take? 30. Hear that? 30 credit hours. 3 classes, 30 hours. Now, reasonable doubt.
That's a lie.
Do not check your common sense at the door. The law says you use your common sense and your reason when you're arriving at reasonable doubt. Now, for you college-educated folks, you know that you don't take 3 hours and end up with, you don't take 3 classes and that be 30 hours.
It's not 30 hours.
It just doesn't work like that.
4. It's about.
Because why? It's not true.
About 12 hours.
That's a lie.
3 or 4.
She lied. Now, what else did she lie about? Now, it may seem irrelevant. Well, we're talking about sex trafficking. We're not talking about Georgia State University. No, what we're talking about is the believability and credibility of a witness. And if they can't be honest with you about coming down here to go to Georgia State University, then how can they be honest with you about all this other allegations that they told you all through the prosecution that supposedly happened? She never went to the Georgia State University campus. She didn't know anything about any professors. She didn't tell you anything about any books. Because she never attended Georgia State University. She never did. Did they show you anything? Did they show you an application? Did they show you a college badge or a student ID? They show you a curriculum. This is their case. They have the burden.
Where's the transcript?
Did they rebuttal it? They come back and say, hey, we want to call her back to the stand because we got some more evidence because Mr. Matthews asked her some questions and we just want to shore this up. No, they did not. I asked her about the semester. Do you know when the semester started or ended? No. She was dishonest with you all concerning that aspect of her testimony, so she's unworthy of belief. Those are the things. Couldn't state the name, couldn't talk about any course curriculum, doesn't remember if she purchased any books, doesn't know the name of any buildings on the campus, claims her school ID got lost. Then she moves. Now, Georgia State, we can probably throw a rock from here and hit a building at Georgia State University. But yet she moves down here to Marietta, Georgia with no car, which is 30, 45 minutes, 875 north from here. She tells you she works at this Waffle House. Maybe she did. I don't know. She tells you she did, though. She said she got a job within 2 weeks of coming down here to go to college at Georgia State University, taking 3 classes for 30 hours, but I'm going to go get a job and I'm going to work 6 days per week at a Waffle House? 6 days a week, go to Georgia State University, 3 classes, 30 hours, and she said she worked there for 2 months, and she told y'all that she earned up to $1,000 per day working at the Waffle House.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
On some days. 1,000.
She made a really.
She said that she said that she knew Melissa, a friend from back home living in Georgia. She claims that Melissa told her that Mr. Gibson wanted her number, claimed that a week or 2 later, Mr. Gibson called her. She went over to the Metzos, met Kiara Boots Adams there. Says Boots explained sex work to her, not Mr. Gibson. Says Mr. Gibson was beating around the bush. Then she says, now keep in mind, counts 2, 22, 23. We're talking about Jasmine Brown, and we're talking about sexual trafficking and sexual servitude. That's why all this is relevant. So she says it's a 50-50 decision. Trafficking and sexual servitude. She says it's a 50-50 decision. She says, I'm here alone, here in Georgia. She said, I can use some help. She broke her apartment lease on her own. She described the atmosphere over at that location as chill, turn up,
Chill, turn up.
get lit, have fun, but also did sex work all day and all night. And she says, it's like I signed a contract. Those are her words. Everything up on that screen, these are her words, ladies and gentlemen. Trafficking and sexual servitude, coercion or force or deception. 50-50 decision, that's coercion. I'm here alone, I could use some help. That's coercion, that's deception, that's trickery. The atmosphere is chill, turn up, get lit, have fun, but also did sex work all day, all night. A contract is an agreement. Last I checked, a contract is a meeting of the minds. That's what a contract is. That's an agreement, an offer and an acceptance. She says, I signed a contract. Counts 2, 22, 23. Trafficking, sexual servitude. Does that sound like that to you? Throughout the period, Jasmine has possession of her cell phone. She can make calls and texts. She can call Laura Stork back up in Delaware if she wanted to. She can call 911. She can call Melissa, her friend here in Georgia. She can do whatever she wants with her phone. This is Jasmine Brown. She says January, February 2018, she flew to Delaware due to getting pregnant. She gave you this story about getting jumped on and beat up by Mr. Gibson. She said some of that throughout the course of her testimony. She said she got pregnant. And then she says, I go back up to Delaware for a month and a half. She leaves. When she leaves, ladies and gentlemen, does that sound like coercion? Does it sound like force? Does it sound like deception? Voluntarily returns to Georgia. So she's up there for a month and a half in Delaware, so she says. She comes back down here. Trafficking and sexual servitude to you? March 27th, 2018. This is the tourist drain situation here. She says on March 27, 2018, she calls 911. She says, I called Boots. Boots said, call John Michael, Mr. Gibson. She says, John Michael says, hey, call the police. What sex trafficker, ladies and gentlemen, who's trafficking women is going to say, call the police?
Call 911. Does that sound like sex trafficker behavior? Call the police, call 12, call Popo.
Not the
Call
popo.
folks.
Not the popo.
So she calls 911 alleging that she was raped by a John named Torres Drain. Now, Torres Drain, he's a John, right? He's the one that supposedly is buying sex from Jasmine Brown. So how is he, what evidence did you hear? What evidence did you all hear, ladies and gentlemen, that Torres Drain was knowingly a part of a conspiracy to commit RICO? Why is Torres Drain, who is a John, who's purchasing sex on a RICO indictment? Why is a John, did you hear any evidence that this John had any conversations with Mr. Gibson? Did you hear any evidence that this John had used Mr. Gibson to have Jasmine Brown or any other ladies come to his home before that? Did you hear any evidence that Torres Drain had any conversations with Kiara Adams, Deanna Sanders, Samuel Vinny, Raven Mills?
Hey, yo, you. Can you subscribe and turn on that bell too? Because when you do, you're helping unbiased, independent news.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty. We, the jury, unanimously agree that at least one defendant committed at least one overt act. Yes. Count 2, trafficking a person for sexual servitude. We find the defendant not guilty. Count 10, rape. We find the defendant guilty. Count 12, aggravated sodomy. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Count 14, trafficking a person for sexual servitude. We find the defendant not guilty. Count 22, trafficking a person for sexual servitude. We find defendant guilty. Count 23, trafficking a person for sexual servitude. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Count 24, aggravated assault. We find the defendant not guilty. On the lesser count of battery, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Count 25, possession of firearm or knife during commission of or an attempt to commit certain felonies. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Count 26, pimping. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Count 27, pandering. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Count 28, keeping a place of prostitution. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Count 29, willful obstruction of law enforcement officer. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Count 30, simple battery. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Count 42, keeping a place of prostitution. We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty. Count 45, possession of prohibited items by inmate or providing prohibited item to the inmate. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
All right, before you go further, I believe you missed count 23.
Count 23, trafficking a person for sexual servitude. We find the defendant guilty.
Okay, and if you'll finish out.
Monica Vinny and Mama Cashout. Indictment number 23 SC 186464, Judge Lethbridge. Number 1, count conspiracy to violate the Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organizations Act, Georgia RICO Act. As to the conspiracy to violate subsection A of the Georgia RICO Act, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. 25, Richard Brown.
All right. Counsel, is there anything for this jury further?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to hear you hold.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do now is something called polling the jury, okay? And so how this will work is this. You will stand up. You will simply say your...
Y'all want pure raw thoughts? This was the RICO that I told y'all that they wanted to publicize. I told y'all they're going to want to, meaning Fani Willis's office is going to want to find another rapper and castigate him in front of everybody. It just didn't happen. Cashout just didn't have the fanfare. And I'm going to be fair. Cashout, you should have took that L for your mama, bro. Should have took the L for your mama. I know I'm not supposed to say any of that crap or anything like that. Like, oh, bro, nah, man. If you innocent, you innocent. That's how they get you in the freaking feds, bro. That's how they do it. So all of those tactics are typically done with the same vigor, the same promise, the same BS that happens all the time. You knew he was going to be found guilty, and his mama was going to be found guilty, and his cousin is now found guilty. Once people start taking the stand as victims, saying, you did this to me. It always happens, for the most part. unless you're ASAP Rally, which was just stupid in that point in time because it was clear it was just a cash grab by him. In my opinion, based off what we've seen and what the jury found out to be true for themselves. So, based on what the jury said, that's where I'm getting my info from, since fake lawsuits from old-ass rappers trying to act like they finna do something to all these others. The hood lawyer is a little bit better, a little bit sharper. So, we're looking at the cash out whole entire thing with the return of Adrian Love. Fani Willis definitely going to be backing this up. It would not surprise me if they decide to do a press conference, but if they do, it's going to be heavily criticized because it's going to be like, where you been at, Ms. Love? So, was he guilty? Is he guilty? Hell yeah. What y'all want me to say? See, one of the things that the U.S. does to deter people away from certain crimes that they're doing, it used to be pimping and pandering. Now they turned it into human trafficking. That sends you up the whole entire river. That's what gets you done. Then to take it a step further, we watch the first domino fall. And when that first domino falls, oh, lordy, 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 lordy. It gets bad. I ain't gonna hold you. It gets terrible, way. But he was done. The best thing he could have did was use Carlton Matthews Sr., because there is a junior who was a lawyer as well. But had to use that in order to get everything that he wanted and everything he should have did. With that being said, man, we'll see what happens. How many years he gets? Shit, it's probably going to be 25 plus. It's probably going to be 25 plus, bro. Like, it's just that bad, man. I don't know, man. Part of me is like, it's just pimping, but when we can't hear stuff and there's force objects in the people and beating people and all that, like, he tried to make light of the woman get beat with a belt, bro. Coercion is coercion. Attacks are attacks. See, some of y'all will be like, well, what about Diddy? What about Diddy? Yeah, Diddy should have been basically screwed over by the state of California, but the statute of limitations happened. So there's that. But we shall see. Just waiting on the sentencing. And I gotta be honest with you, this could be horrific for all three parties involved. His mama could probably get 15, bro. Your mama get 15. By the time she gets out, she's not gonna look like that. Like, this is gonna be one of those things where he ain't never gonna see his mama alive again. And for what? Because you niggas is too... Because some of us are taking the easy route out. Nothing wrong with a trade. Nothing wrong with a skill set. Nothing wrong with anything where you bust your hump from 9 to 5, 8 to 4, 7 to 3, and you get it that way. See, everybody that talks about the squares and everything, you know what the squares ain't doing? Ain't going to jail. Ain't doing none of this street stuff. Ain't outside past the hours where you cats are getting in trouble. And definitely ain't involved in none of this crap. So share to keep your people aware. Subscribe, turn on bells to notify. This video don't do what it do. Then just don't. But Adrian Love, Fani Willis, they did their big one and got their victory today. It is what it is.